Hello, this is your Phantom Safety Pin, back with something that finally isn't a horror game for once. Yes, I know, it's been a year and a quarter of non-stop short games and horror games, and you're bored to death of them, I'm bored to death of them. It's time for something different for a change. And that's why I'm pleased to announce that as of today, we're starting a very special Let's Play, one that's been a long time coming of a game series very near and dear to my heart, and probably yours as well. Ladies and gentlemen, audience members of all ages, I humbly present to you... Oh yeah, you all remember this game. When I was a kid, Pokemon was the shit. This was one of the gaming holy grails, back when there were only 151 different kinds of Pokemon to collect, trade, and battle. Pokemon was king in the 90s and early 2000s. There was an anime which was probably the first anime some of you ever watched. A trading card game, baseball cards, board game, plush dolls, figurines, spin-off games, bootlegs, and an entire series of movies. The game series itself has spanned multiple generations of consoles and people, and it's now more than 10 years old. Yes, just like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda before it, Pokemon has become such a gaming classic that it's lasted well into 2014, and will probably continue far beyond it. And yet, still no Gen 3 remakes. Come on, Nintendo, where's your head at? I want to go back to home, I just want to go back to home. Anyway, Pokemon's lasted a hell of a long time, but it all started with Pokemon Red and Blue for the Game Boy, and later that Pikachu-themed one based on the anime, but we don't talk about that one, moving on. A bit of a confession, actually. I've never played a Gen 1 Pokemon game. My first one was Crystal. I didn't start out in Kanto. No, I started in Johto, with Cyndaquil as my starter. I didn't even get to Kanto until the end of the game. And actually, I still have my original Crystal cartridge, and yeah, it still works, and I still play it from time to time. But now, through the miracle of modern emulator technology, I can finally go back and play the game that started it all. But to spice things up a bit, I'm going to be playing with a special set of rules. These rules, and all Pokemon runs that follow them, are called by the same name, Nuzlocke. The terms Nuzlocke and Nuzlocke Challenge come from a character in a comic series of the same name, a Nuzleaf that the comics artist had drawn to look like John Locke from Lost. The comic originally started on 4chan's V/Slash board, but soon grew far beyond its reach, spawning its own standalone message board and becoming the well-known challenge it is today. For those uninitiated, the Nuzlocke Challenge only has 3 rules. 1. You can only capture the first Pokemon you meet in an area, and that's it. 2. If a Pokemon faints, you have to release it. It's dead. Permanently dead. The third rule is an optional one, but it's often used anyway. You should nickname all of your Pokemon to help foster a deeper connection with them. This shouldn't be hard for me, since I nickname all of my Pokemon anyway. These 3 rules are enough for a Pokemon run to be considered a Nuzlocke run, but for the purposes of this Let's Play, I'll define them a bit further. For starters, I can only capture the first Pokemon in an area, unless it's a legendary like Moltres or a duplicate of a Pokemon I already have. This includes members of the same evolutionary line. For example, catching a Pidgeotto when I already have a Pidgey. Legendary Pokemon are overpowered and therefore off-limits. Pokemon received from the NPCs in the Game Corner, however, are totally legal, but I can only choose one Pokemon at most from the Game Corner. This rule doesn't apply if I don't have any Pokemon with me that can learn a field move. For example, if I need a Pokemon that can learn Cut, but I can't teach it to anyone on my team, then I can go catch a Pokemon that knows that move. However, this Pokemon cannot be used in battle for any reason, and must be boxed as soon as I catch another Pokemon that can learn the move. Pokemon that faint are dead, but as a mercy clause, all team members can be revived at most twice in the entire game. 2 times. That's it. Additionally, to keep the game running smoothly, if there are Pokemon in a PC box somewhere, a fainted team member may be replaced with one of them. I'm also going to be adding the following additional rules. A blackout is a game over, and if there's no more Pokemon to replace the entire team, then the Let's Play's over. Game resets are obviously not allowed, unless the game glitches or does something else it shouldn't do. Oh god. Oh god, guys, what if... Missing number... The battle style must be on set at all times to prevent easily switching Pokemon out. Team members cannot be traded at any time during the game, with the exception of Pokemon that only evolve through trading. Since I'm playing on an emulator, this shouldn't really be an issue. I'm also not allowed to flee from any wild Pokemon battles. There's no limit on how many times I can heal my team members either, but I'm not allowed to put Pokemon in the PC or daycare to heal them, and I'm only allowed to use healing items during battles, with the exception of ethers, elixirs, and rare candies. Rare candies can also act as a revive, but will count towards the 2 revive limit. In addition, I'm only allowed to carry as many revives and max revives as there are members of my party. So if I have 5 Pokemon, I can carry a maximum of 5 revives total. And obviously, healing moves like Soft Boiled and Leech Seed are completely okay. And finally, none of these rules count until I have the Pokedex and I'm actually able to catch Pokemon. That means that any wild Pokemon encountered during the Oaks partial segment of the game don't count as the first Pokemon met in an area. Neither does the old man and his Weedle, of course. Wow, that's a lot of rules, but I think I can handle it. Oh, and one more thing before we start off on our adventure in Kanto. I'm letting you guys pick the starter for me. That's right, you get to choose which Pokemon I start off with, which might affect a few other choices in the future, too. You'll have a couple weeks to put your vote in, unless one choice is the clear landslide victory, in which case I'll end it early and just use that one. And if you don't vote, well, then I guess I'll have to just pick for myself, won't I? So, I leave you with a choice, viewers. Should I pick Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur? Your call.